This is the time of year when many Australians are talking football, with a series of finals this weekend in 2 national codes. But one Queensland town has learned that sporting success is more than just winning matches. The Condamine Codgers are an over-35s rugby union side based in the Darling Downs. And they've gained a reputation, not so much for their football skills, but rather their success in making a difference to the local community.
Their motto is, the older we get, the better we were. But if their recent tournament in South Africa is anything to go by, the Condamine Codgers are not too shabby even now.
Oh, look, huge fun, yeah. He got a bit pressured there for a bit, but yeah, no, it was good fun.
That was a pretty fair standard rugby, I thought. Yeah, plenty of those opposition guys were pretty good rugby players. Go.
These blokes form a motley bunch of over 35s, some of them way over 35. And they come together to have a bit of fun and play a bit of rugby, in that order. Back here in Condamine in southern Queensland, when they're not playing rugby, they are farmers, graziers, bus drivers and tradies. They come together every Thursday night for tenderising by their fitness coach, affectionately referred to as Rob the Flogger Whedon.
Righto, plank, a side plank. One brownie.
He shows scant regard to age nor weary old bones.
You know, missed his calling. He should have been the fitness trainer for the Foreign Legion, really, and he really works us out.
On the other side of the paddock are the Condamine Cods, the real local rugby team. They play A-grade in the Darling Downs competition and they're pretty businesslike in the way they go about their work. The Codgers, as the name implies, are a bit past their prime. In fact, some of them never had a prime.
Well, look, that can be from anything. All those fellas there last night come from, well, we're mainly a rural background.
Rod comes home on a high after being with the boys. I have to be up because he's got so much to tell me. And I mean, they're all getting physically fit, and how good's that for their health?
The Codgers are great in that we train the same night as the Codge teams, and so we engage with the young guys. We all go back to the pub together and we sit down and have a meal and a few beers and tell some great stories and have a million laughs. And therein lies the benefit of it. You know, with driving home on a Thursday night, I feel as though I can live forever. You know, it's that good.
But sadly, in rural and regional communities, this bucolic idyll masks an emotional turmoil that all too often ends tragically. Just days before Landline visited Condamine, the Codgers had to confront this stark reality. Rod Hamilton's cousin hanged himself in one of the cottages on the property. He didn't live locally and he'd come to stay at Rod's invitation in the hope that they could help him through a difficult time. It wasn't to be.
And yeah, why he chose that path will still be a mystery, but you felt you could help, and but then to have it go the way it did wasn't so good. But within an hour of it happening, I had just a huge amount of response from the locals and Codgers. First fellow to turn up was a Codger.
The black dog, as depression is known in the bush, sneaks up on otherwise healthy people, especially men. The dog takes life's circumstances and builds a kind of a wall around people so that individuals can't see a way out of their difficulties. The end result is a depressive downward spiral from which some people recover and others don't. Lee McNichol has been one of Condamine Rugby's stalwarts from the outset, so much so he's known as the Codfather. And despite the rude health and robust personality he projects, Lee McNichol has been bitten by the black dog himself, depression.
It was a build-up, it was a drought. I was fighting some government regulations. I'd put my heart and soul into an industry organisation. My son Doug had decided to go overseas, but it was droughty and I couldn't let him go. I felt bad about that. It was just a number of personal issues. We were drought feeding 2,000 cattle round the clock. It was a combination of physical and mental and emotional exhaustion, and it just gets to a point where you crack, you know. I thought I was bulletproof and was, you know, still playing some pretty good C-grade rugby, and the next thing, I didn't want to see anybody, talk to anybody, wouldn't even go to the rugby. I mean, that is serious stuff when you get to that for a rugby tragic like me.
Lee's close mate Rod Hamilton realises now that he was watching a personal tragedy in the making.
I was very close to it at the time, and I did see him starting to head down that path we talk of, and I do know the reasons that he headed there, and I was fairly close to it at the time. I'd go over and help him with decisions he had to make and things like that, but it was look, it was a frightening thing to watch.
Eventually, this hard-as-nails farmer took the advice of a doctor recommended to him by, not surprisingly, an old rugby mate. And he also took some prescribed medication, but only after he'd used his background as a vet to check out what it would do.
Yeah, the theory is that the brain doesn't produce the right amount of chemicals in your brain cells in the right balance, and you can treat that by short-term medication, and I was on it for 15 months, been off it, and been looking after myself ever since, trying to get the right life balance, and I reckon I'll stay off it the way I feel at the moment.
Well, I know he had great family support, and that was very important for his particular personal recovery, but we made a special effort to bring him along to the footy, and I remember the particular football game that Megan ended up having to take him, even though he was going to come with us, and I just told him I needed him. I can't do it without him, and I needed him on the football field for the numbers.
When I got back on the rugby field, pulled the boots on again after virtually missing a season, and got back out there, I knew I'm back.
Hey Ken, how you going?
Not too bad.
That's good. Been busy?
Busy as a one-armed man in Bricklayer and Beirut.
Regular health checks are now built into the Codgers team program, and they're provided free of charge by local Queensland health staff.
Men in the bush don't deliberately neglect their health. They've gone to work long before a medical clinic opens, and they get home well after they're closed. So the opportunity for them to attend regular health checks is not really there.
We do have a bit of fun. The men like to make a lot of jokes, especially about particular maybe prostate examinations, etc. But no, it generally is a very light-hearted nature type of clinic. The men come in together, they generally have a bit of a chat, a bit of a play around, but they are quite serious when they do actually get into the clinic. They're quite open and honest, and that's what we need to be able to treat them effectively.
The health benefits of a tipple of port and crushed pineapple before playing a rugby match are unclear, but it's become a Codgers game day tradition which they share with their opposition. Today in the A-grade match, the Condamine Cods played the St George Frillnecks. So later in the afternoon, the Condamine Codgers played the St George Frailnecks.
Now, Condamine, no tackling anyone with grey hair.
One indicator of how seriously they take these matches is that they don't even attempt try conversions on the assumption that it's unlikely anyone will be able to kick the ball over the crossbar from any position on the field. In this case, age does in fact weary them, but it doesn't seem to reduce their enthusiasm for rugby one bit. With an age range of between 36 and 65, you might think that these blokes should be considering hanging up their rugby boots. But all indications are that won't be happening anytime soon. Not only are the Condamine Codgers not hanging up their boots, they continue to travel the globe, playing in tournaments like the 2010 World Vintage Rugby Carnival in Cape Town, South Africa.
I think we should drink to temperance.
They had 3 wins from their 3 matches, and while some of them are quite competitive, don't ask them for too many details about the matches. They simply don't care that much.
I mean, I can't think of a better way of spending this day in my life on planet Earth. I'd rather be here. Okay, I mean, what about, you know, the background there? Look at that scenery. Isn't this a magnificent place to be? I mean, I just think, you know, this is rugby heaven. You don't have to die to go there. You can just come here, you know.
So this band of brothers achieved everything they'd set out to do. Oh, and some vintage rugby was played as well.
There's a number of guys here that have seen, that have been down the black hole, I know, and they've come back up, and they're better people for it. And this rugby club has helped them. So, besides having fun, we're doing a service for the community. And, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Codgers! Aye! Codgers! Aye! Codgers, Codgers, Codgers! Aye, aye, aye! Thanks, guys.